I thought I was untouchable. By eliminating the bodies in acid baths, I believed I was committing the perfect crime. Murder after murder, the thrill was palpable, until one fatal mistake unraveled everything. Now, awaiting execution, I ponder the unseen darkness in others, the hidden monsters walking among us. This confession, penned from a prison cell, is more than just a recount of ghastly deeds. It is a cautionary tale, a window into a mind corrupted by rejection and fueled by vengeance. It began with a choked dream, an artist's frustration, and spiraled into a chilling saga of death and dissolution. I was once just a man, an artist. This city, with its towering indifference, was my canvas and battlefield. My art languished in obscurity, my spirit wilted under continuous neglect. It was in this crucible of frustration that a dark seed took root. Each rejection, each sneer from the so-called connoisseurs watered this seed. What began as a mere whisper in the recesses of my troubled mind grew into a cacophony of vengeance. I started fantasizing about retribution, about inflicting the pain I felt upon others. The transformation was gradual but irreversible. The artist slowly receded, overshadowed by the emerging darkness. With each passing day, the thoughts grew darker, more insistent. I was on a path from which there was no return. The man who would become my first victim was a pompous art collector. His mockery was the spark that ignited my pent-up rage. During a heated argument, as he belittled my life's work, something inside me snapped. I remember the power, the adrenaline. My hands around his throat felt both foreign and eerily right. The life fading from his eyes was a moment of profound awakening. The deed was done before I fully grasped the gravity of my actions. As I stood over his still body, a chilling realization dawned upon me. I felt alive, invigorated. It was a pivotal moment marking the birth of the monster within. The first murder was no longer an act of passion, it was a carefully considered choice. In the aftermath, panic set in. How to erase this monumental mistake? Then I recalled the potent hydrochloric acid we sold at the hardware store. Could it dissolve human flesh? This morbid curiosity became my guide. I procured several gallons, driven by a mix of fear and scientific intrigue. The first experiment was macabre. A small piece of organic matter watched closely as it succumbed to the acid's relentless hunger. The result was fascinating and horrifying. The acid worked, consuming everything, leaving nothing but a corrosive liquid behind. A plan crystallized in my mind. I could make bodies disappear, erase my sins from the face of the earth. Choosing victims became a part of my dark routine. Those who had slighted me, who had poured scorn upon my dreams, were marked. Each murder was methodical, cold, executed with chilling precision. I watched them, learned their habits, their vulnerabilities. Luring them into my web was disturbingly easy. They saw a friend, a confidant. I saw a target, a means to quench my growing thirst for control. With each life taken, the monster within grew stronger, more demanding. The thrill of the hunt was intoxicating, but so was the fear of discovery. This dual existence began to take its toll, fraying the edges of my sanity. The act of dissolving a body in acid was gruesome, demanding. I had to dismember the corpses, a task that required detachment and precision. Each cut, each separation of limb from torso was a step into deeper darkness. The acid bath awaited, the final eraser of identities. Submerging the dismembered parts, I was both repulsed and mesmerized. The sizzle, the slow disappearance of flesh and bone, was a grotesque spectacle. This process was not just physical, but profoundly psychological. Witnessing the dissolution, I felt a perverse sense of creation through destruction. It was as if I was playing God, deciding the fate of matter and memory. Living with the weight of my actions was a relentless challenge. The secrets I carried were corrosive, eating away at any semblance of normalcy in my life. Relationships faltered, isolation became my refuge. I led a double life. By day, the quiet store clerk, by night an orchestrator of death. The juxtaposition was jarring. Each smile, each mundane interaction was overshadowed by the knowledge of what I had done and could do again. The fear of being discovered loomed large, casting a shadow over every moment. I lived in a state of constant vigilance, my senses perpetually heightened to any sign of suspicion. There were moments when my carefully constructed world nearly collapsed. A forgotten item at a crime scene, a witness noticing unusual behavior. Each was a brush with exposure. Paranoia became a constant companion. I found myself second-guessing every decision, every movement. The need to adapt, to refine my methods, grew with each close call. These slips were wake-up calls, harsh reminders of the fragile line I walked. They forced me to evolve, to become even more meticulous in my planning and execution. The stakes were life or death, freedom or imprisonment. It was a small oversight, a single fingerprint. In a moment of carelessness, I sealed my fate. That fingerprint was the thread that, once pulled, unravelled everything. The initial police inquiry was routine, but the persistence of the detectives was unnerving. They pieced together the scant clues, building a case with methodical precision. During this period, I oscillated between denial and dread. The prospect of my dark deeds coming to light was terrifying. Yet, there was a part of me that yearned for release from the burden of secrets. The day of my arrest was surreal. Handcuffs snapped around my wrists, the flash of cameras, the murmurs of shock from those who thought they knew me. My double life was exposed, the facade shattered. The public reaction was a mix of horror and fascination. My name, once unknown, became synonymous with evil. Within my inner circle, the betrayal was profound. Friends and family struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the monster in the headlines. Reflecting on the end of my spree, I felt a complex mix of relief and despair. The game was over, but at what cost? The trial was a spectacle, a theatre of justice. Evidence was laid bare, gruesome details met with gasps and tears from the gallery. My fate was sealed by the weight of the evidence, by the testimonies of those I had wronged. Sentencing day was the culmination of a nightmare. The judge's words were both a condemnation and a release. As the sentence was delivered, death, I felt the finality of my journey through darkness. The courtroom was a blur, the words echoing in a void. I was to pay the ultimate price, a fitting end for the lives I had taken and altered irrevocably. Death row is a world unto itself, a liminal space between life and oblivion. Time here is both endless and fleeting, each day a monotonous cycle punctuated by moments of stark terror. Interactions with guards and fellow inmates are coloured by my infamy. Some seek to understand, others to condemn. I'm a curiosity, a cautionary tale told in whispers down the cold, echoing corridors. In this confinement, my reflections deepen. Regrets surface alongside defiant justifications. The complexity of my emotions mirrors the complexity of my crimes. There is no simple resolution, only the heavy weight of consequence. In the silence of my cell, I ponder the nature of evil. Is it born within us, or shaped by our experiences? My journey from artist to murderer suggests a mixture of both, a perfect storm of circumstance and choice. Justice, too, is a concept that haunts me. What is the true purpose of my impending execution? Is it retribution, deterrence, or simply a societal demand for closure? These questions linger unanswered. My legacy is secure yet infamous. The acid bath murderer, the name evokes horror, a stark reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink. As my final days approach, preparations begin for the end. The rituals of execution are explained. Each detail is a reminder of the inevitability of my fate. My last words are prepared, a mixture of apology and defiance. What can truly be said in such a moment? Can words ever suffice to cover the breadth of pain caused, the lives altered? The execution is clinical, detached. As the chemicals flow into my veins, I experience a final clarity, a recognition of the monstrous path I chose and its inevitable conclusion. In the wake of my execution, the public and media dissect every detail of my case. Some seek to understand the why, others to revel in the macabre details. My story becomes a lesson, a warning. The lessons of my case are complex. They speak to the darkness within us all, to the choices that can lead one down a path of destruction. They caution against the cultivation of bitterness, the harboring of grudges. As the world moves on, my story remains, a dark testament to human frailty and the catastrophic potential of unchecked anger.